The Ontario Liberals are set to announce their new party leader today. The competitive race saw a big boost in fundraising and membership in the party. Bonnie Crombie, Nate Erskine-Smith, Yasser Naqvi and Ted Hsu have been traveling the province to drum up support in their bid to replace Stephen Del Duca, who resigned last year. Crombie's team has been suggesting she may have enough votes to win on the first ballot. And to break this all down for us, I'm joined now by political strategist Kim Wright, who joins us with her take on the Liberal leadership. Kim, it's good to have you. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So, what do you think? I mean, obviously throughout this, Bonnie Crombie has been perceived as the main front runner, but this is a ranked ballot system. Does that change anything, do you think?
Yeah, this is an interesting race because you didn't actually have to buy a membership. So you don't actually have a tangible connection. You could just say, hey, I'm a Liberal, which is kind of not dissimilar to how some people run politics in Ontario. But ultimately, whether it's Bonnie Crombie or Yasser Naqvi or even Nate Erskine-Smith, neither of them have a seat in the Ontario legislature. So this is actually going to be a side hustle leadership for them. And I think Ontarians deserve better than a side hustle leader. But that's what the Ontario Liberals are voting on today.
I mean, how would that look if someone was to win the leadership and then keep another job at the same time? It doesn't really look like the dedication is there.
Well, and that's it. And so for all of this talk about Liberal momentum coming into this leadership race and how excited Liberals are to get behind this new leader, we saw in Kitchener Centre the other night that they got less than 8% of the vote, which is actually less than the amount of seats they have in the legislature. But the reality is people aren't excited about the new version of the Liberals any more than they were excited about the Stephen Del Duca version or even the latter part of the Kathleen Wynne Liberals. So this is a new leader that will come in with a party that doesn't have money. This is a leader that will not have a seat in the House and not have one for the foreseeable future and may or may not decide to give up their day job. That, to me, is not what Ontarians are looking for.
As you mentioned, you know, we saw two by-elections recently, municipal by-elections, both of them not really coming out in the Liberals' favor, obviously. So the work is cut out for them, obviously. And you just mentioned a couple of other points as well. What does it take? I mean, what will it take for the new leader of the Liberal Party to really drag the party out of the slump it's been in for some time?
Well, they haven't had an official party in the legislature now for the last 2 election cycles. That is a very challenging position to put yourself into, especially when your value proposition is this notion of being the natural governing party, when the Ontarians have rejected that notion the last 2 times at the polls. You also have seen more Liberal, New Democrat versus Conservative battlegrounds. That 401 corridor from Kitchener-Waterloo to Windsor, the North, even Eastern Ontario, is really becoming a battleground between New Democrats and Conservatives. So it doesn't leave much space for the new Liberal leader, whomever he or she may be. And if it is, you know, Bonnie Crombie, how she will play in rural Ontario is going to be a challenge for her. She has had some pretty egregious positions during this leadership race that has not sat well with Liberals, let alone with Ontarians. It's not sitting with their values. Her donor base and her policies have really more aligned with Doug Ford than the progressive movement. So that's going to be a consistent challenge for her flip-flopping.
She does peg herself as a centrist, saying that she's fiscally responsible but socially progressive. She says she leans a little more to the center compared to a lot of Liberals, in her opinion, as what I've heard her say before. So, I mean, what do you think about that? I mean, the Liberals really have to figure out where they stand between, as you mentioned too, the NDP leader is now quite strong as well, Marit Stiles. So they have to really find a place there.
Absolutely. Marit has been down in those communities, raising money, raising candidates, raising profile, and really having a good reaction. The last time I saw Bonnie Crombie in real life, she was at the Albany Club, which is a conservative haunt, talking on a panel for centre-ice conservatives. So I'm not sure how that plays to Ontarians in Northern Ontario, rural Ontario, every place that they'll need to do to get a seat back or several seats back to become an official party in the legislature. Right now, there is only one official party in the opposition, and that's the New Democrats. And I don't see that changing anytime soon.
Getting back to today and the maybe outcome we could see later today, later this evening, between 4 and 6, I think those results are supposed to be announced. We've been talking a lot recently about Nate Erskine-Smith and Yasser Naqvi also, you know, telling everyone, hey, if you rank me as number 1, rank this other person as number 2. After a couple weeks of Liberals maybe sitting with that information, how do you think that's going to fare for those two?
Yeah, at this point, it still points to a Bonnie Crombie victory at some point, whether that's first ballot, second ballot. But what's also been fascinating, and I've been hearing from Liberal sources, that they don't have enough volunteers to get those counts underway. This big event they're supposed to be having today is more of a money grab than a excited event, and they're going to have some challenges, both from a logistical standpoint and going forward. Now, does Yasser Naqvi or Nate Erskine-Smith decide that they're going to run in the provincial election? Well, Nate said he wasn't sure if he would. Neither of them would have a natural seat in the legislature to run in. Yasser, in fact, had lost his seat to Joel Harden in the 2018 campaign and sees no chance of getting that back anytime soon. So it's going to be a struggle for those Liberals, the leadership and otherwise going forward.
The leadership and afterwards. Okay, well, we'll have to wait and see what happens. Kim, I appreciate you coming on today. Thanks for taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
That is our political strategist, Kim Wright.